going on, everybody? It's Jeff the Iron Wolf here. We are live. Today I have Black Angus reviews, and coming up a little bit later, Jeff, aka the Rookie Critic, will be stopping in. And this is just more of a, we have some time. We're going to kick it. We're going to freestyle it. It's just going to be kind of what comes to our heads. Angus, how you doing?
Oh, I am great. I'm glad to have a unexpected assembly of the Cinema Squad.
We ride again, my friend. We ride again. That's just how we roll, isn't it? So, what have we got going today? Well, it's been a real big day and just all the stuff going wild. We got stuff going left, right, and center. We got people marching on the border. We got Trump sending the troops. I found a couple of different videos. We got MGTOW and feminists. And the whole world is going mad. What do you say to that, Angus?
It's kind of funny that this is going on, this stream and this topic, because I found a channel. I'm currently reviewing all their catalogs. Clearly got a lot. Truth Factory. It's narrated by a cat at a news desk.
I've seen Truth Factory. She's hilarious.
Yeah. I just watched the the gay frogs, the atrazine in the water video. It's like, God damn it.
Yeah. But no, it's been wild this week. Just utterly crazy.
No, I've been enjoying politics. In a pop culture sense, politics, like the hot takes. With whatever they put on the news with CNN. The headlines. I'm not entrenched in it, but I'm just enjoying it. Enjoying the ire of the SJWs and stuff, and how it kind of ties in with the culture of Star Wars and Comicsgate. So, yeah.
I mean, I saw your argument this week, well, yesterday mostly, with that person who was going after Ethan, Geeks and Gamers, all that crazy stuff. I mean, I saw your argument this week. Well, yeah, sorry, I had to mute myself so I can actually pay attention to the chat going on.
No, I understand. I don't know. I'm just trying to get our name out there, trying to get our Fandom Menace Phase 2 hashtag to trend, hopefully with some comic skaters that are familiar with the Fandom Menace, back during Solo and stuff. It seems to be kind of a forgotten project, but I really believe in that idea and that unity, so I'm utilizing that label for us. Yep.
Well, I also have to say that I actually asked this question on Facebook, on my own private Facebook, and since you tend to throw around MAG every once in a while, I'm going to ask you, Angus, if you don't mind. Because the thing is, everybody's screaming the hashtag MAGA and Make America Great Again, but no one's asking the questions that should be coming after saying a statement like that. Would you agree?
Oh, dude, no, I saw that, and it's like, it is easy to get on the Trump train with good economy. With Obama, kind of seeming to try to take credit, where it's like, oh, well, the economy is part of my policy long term. That's debatable, but it's worth discussing. And something funny that Uncle Ethan inspired was me watching Mad Men, and even though it's a fiction, it's very aware of the time period. And watching it, especially the first half of the '60s, and the moon landing being a result of the early '60s with Kennedy. Looking back at this time and the care they took, I see that era and our accomplishments as the last time we were great, quote unquote. And we were declining even then, because we had a recession with Kennedy. And Kennedy was actually the guy who really got us entrenched in Vietnam. It seems he was trying to pull us out with the quote unquote advisors, which were, actually just military guys, but fighting with the Vietnamese. But looking at that show and the history it's showing, and looking into Kennedy, looking into moon landing, and First Man just came out. That really is the last time we were great. And
well, speaking of that time you're talking about, it also goes into the fact of last time our Congress ever did something great was the Civil Rights Act, and then it's like they just spiked the ball, claimed a touchdown, and just stopped. Wouldn't you agree with that statement?
Yeah, I'm glad we're doing this on your channel because we're allowed, more free reign with the political discussion. Um, I, I found this channel. I don't know her leanings. She seems to be a black alt right person, which is odd given how it's alt right is sold in the media. Um, but clearly alt right has different facets or whatever. Um, and she was talking about, she clearly is a Trump supporter and seems to have, arguments about why she is. And she was discussing tweets from like a month ago of, Kanye going MAGA and stuff, wearing the hat, and his posts about the 13th Amendment and all this. And she's talking about like the Republican plantation because she seems to be like an independent. And I give that argument credence where, sure, every black Democrat on the news and stuff seems to be looking at Kanye as like, this is, when Negroes don't read. And it's like, well, that's gonna backfire, just like Obama with the guns and religion comment. Sure, he still won, but it wasn't as easy as you would. It might have been before.
All right. Well, hang on a sec. Rookie just joined. What's going on,
All
Rick?
right.
Greetings, brothers. It is working.
It's
Well,
indeed.
now, but no, we're just kind of asking the political questions. Like I was just asking Angus because he likes, the whole MAGA thing, but I was asking him these very valid questions that no one seems to be asking when it comes to this. What is the trying to achieve? When are we going to get there? What are we going to do when we get there? Like, what are we going to do with this greatness? How are we going to?
That's a good question.
Greatness. And
what will be considered great when we get to that point?
Yeah, exactly. Stuff like that. Basically, everybody scream MAGA, MAGA, MAGA. Well,
that took me a while to actually figure out what MAGA meant. By the way, I was like, "Is that like a anime or something?" No.
Well, I say it a lot at home to irritate the wife because we're both fairly apolitical. But if the Democrats don't present a good opponent, I will be voting for Trump because it's only Republican or Democrat that matter when you vote in these elections. Even though I want an independent third party, it's not viable in our country with the polarization, and so you got to go left or right. And even if Trump garners, possibly Klan support for his stances on some things, it's because his stances are more rational than what the left is doing. The left has built this whole party off of emotion instead of reasoning, and so it's not even a competition. It's just a default. Like, well, I got to go Republican now.
Well, Angus, you could say the very same thing about Republicans and the whole MAGA thing. That's based off of emotion because no one's asking the rational questions that come after that.
Yeah, but I was going to answer to your last great act of Congress was the Civil Rights Acts. I like, I don't know if you ever watched him, Larry Elder. I found him from the Rubin Report, and he was talking about how, the government compelling intersectionality and stuff. Like that's a very questionable thing to at least, discuss.
Oh, yeah.
And,
well, I put this question up, and my dad actually replied. Sorry, Ricky, I don't want to step over you or anything, but
no, that's good. Hey, this one's mostly on you guys. I'll chime in where I can.
well, Angus, my dad actually came back to me on Facebook and said, "This is what happens when two parties have pretty much forgotten what they're doing and have pretty much socially degraded, and they're only really concerned about swinging the pendulum of power every 4 to 8 years, which is really what we've literally been seeing since Bill Clinton left office. Every 8 years, the pendulum just keeps going back and forth."
Yeah, I definitely see that. But with the thing I was talking about, Larry Elder, he was talking about Civil Rights Act and how like that was sort of unnecessary from a libertarian perspective, given the extreme fear of any government. It's very can be seen as a fearful ideology that's conservative. But its whole point is to uphold individuality at the utmost extreme it can in a society that needs a government of some sort to protect people. And he's talking sort of anecdotally from not just his perspective, but like where he's from. think he was talking about Chicago. I'm not sure, but he was saying like Little Italy back when he was a young man, pre-civil rights or during civil rights. Italians hate blacks in this time, and so blacks knew don't go to real Italian restaurants. They'll spit in your food. They don't want us there. And but eventually the Italians want the black money, so they have to be accommodating if they don't like them. And so just business alone can incentivize inclusion and tolerance and stuff. You don't have to compel people, and I definitely see an argument for that because being a black person, I look at the Civil War and the Reconstruction, and it's just like you took a culture that had slaves, rich people only ones that had them, but a culture that was conditioned where black people were slaves for say 200 years roughly, and were sold by Africans to us, and all of a sudden they have no education for the most part, and now they can have equal say in votes and stuff, and now they can have equal say, and it's like it's a big upheaval. So yeah, that was my response to talking about Larry Elder and his the last great act of Congress. It is a bit debatable, even though it seems like the good moral stance to take is like, yeah, they did the right thing with that.
Well, they kind of had to because Jim Crow laws are basically working within the Constitution. The Civil Rights Act was needed. It basically had to enshrine that everybody is equal under the law and no more of bending the law like a pretzel to serve your own racist ends. Civil Rights Act had to happen. It was a necessary step in,
Oh no, I just to be clear, I like the Civil Rights Act. It's I'm all like, I think Johnson did some good things, but I think he set the trend for a lot of bad things.
Well, the thing is, Angus, if you look back at it, and Rookie too, you can chime in on this one if you want. Since the Civil Rights Act, we have literally, as a nation, been arguing pretty much the same shit and fighting the same social, political, quote-unquote, civil war since that act was passed. For what, 50, 60 years? We are literally arguing about the same shit today as my parents were.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it has a new blend to it, though. I'll let Rookie go or you go.
I don't really have any. I disagree. I just agree. I don't really have anything to capitalize on.
Are you our token white guy for this discussion? You can't be offensive.
I wish I could take a point, but it's just like no. Wolf made a good point. I want to hear what you're going to say and in response, and see if I get anything that I can chime in on with here. Let's keep going.
Angus, look back to the day I was born, December 12th, 1982. Look back to the major arguments that were being had at that point, and then look at what's being argued with today. It's almost the same fucking thing.
Yeah, in a sort of weird way. Yeah, you're making me think. As like what Reagan's second year in office.
Yeah,
they were fighting, the last stretch of the Cold War, trying to outspin Russia and get out of a recession. And it was kind of the crux of you would think it was kind of the end of the great debate of communism versus democracy. or
not only that, but we were still arguing about abortion, we were still arguing about the economy, we were still arguing about immigration, about guns. The same shit we've been arguing, that have been the hotbed topics today, were the same hotbed topics 30 years ago.
Yeah, I like what you said about like immigration. It's neither side really want to end the debate. It's something that gets them points depending on what side it looks better.
Angus, and that's beating around the bush to my main point that I'd want to make. Neither side has any vested interest in doing the right thing anymore. Why? Because it's a form of control.
Do you think that the move to militarize, at least temporarily, this move to militarize the border in response to this caravan heading our way, do you think that is maybe a step in the direction of the MAGA to try to actually make a stand that hopefully has a long-term effect of like, hey, we mean business. We're not pussyfooting around. We're not going to be emotional on this argument of border safety. Do you think that what is his name? Mattis?
Yeah. Basically, Trump said in mass. I want Rookie to answer that question. Rookie, what do you think?
Can you repeat the question? Can you repeat the question?
Yeah. So essentially, one of the interesting, I appreciate, even though, I feel the MAGA, the Trump half of the conversation is at least allowing for rational discussion as opposed to like the NPC memes of today that reflect the left largely. Sure, there's NPCs on the MAGA train, and I use MAGA more as a joke. I think it's funny because it triggers people. But essentially, Jeff's kind of crux of this whole discussion in politics is, aimed at MAGA, and it's like, well, when will it be better, or what will be things that are making America great again, or what have you, or whatnot. And I
And
see,
you're
I,
right.
I, I, I see the militarization of the border of sending troops to the border in response to this caravan coming our way as being a step in trying to on the right side. Uh, as far as right and left, the right side to actually try to do something of merit in this immigration discussion, as opposed to kicking the ball back and forth between the left and the right.
But have they even done that yet? Have they even actually started?
No, they've actually
2 years now, and I mean, who knows if he'll be here for 8? So, uh, in a way, this kind of feeds more into Wolf's point about using it as a form of control. If they haven't done anything yet, he's talking about it, and then, like he said, that's something they can use later on too for another form of control. Is doing the same thing or promising the same thing, but without doing anything about it.
I mean, from my point of view, Trump is doing a few things with Mattis. One, he's insulating himself against, attacks of, oh, he's being racist and bigoted. No, he's turning to his Secretary of Defense and saying, defend our country, which is legal and right. And I dare the Democrats to try and crucify Mattis. That will backfire spectacularly.
Oh God. You think Kavanaugh was bad?
Well, it seems to be. It seems to always be a black and white situation. There's never, and I don't mean that by color of skin. I mean like one side sees this, the other side sees this, and neither seem to be the exact solution. Like I think that we should be a little more protective of who comes into our country and what they're bringing in, but I don't think that we should just also just eject everyone either. And
Well,
it's yeah.
let me hop in right quick on that. I want to build right off what you said. Because the fun part is, if you actually listen to a lot of the news reports, a lot of the people who are running away, like one woman said that it was either run or they were either going to kill her and her family or kill her son because a gang wanted him to go out and sling drugs for him and he was refusing. That's a clear-cut case of they need asylum. Why didn't they ask for it?
That's a good point. I never heard of that. So like what I keep on trying to take from it is coming from a former-ish Democrat, more centered, independent type of view and understanding of some Republican views. Like with the immigration thing, I think that it is a good idea to try to get, per se, like the drug dealing bad ones, quote, out and have a way to filter in good ones properly so that there isn't you aren't a citizen here but you're in here. It's okay, no, you can be here and live here and you're a citizen in a way, but they can't just do it, oh, here you are, so here, sign some papers and you're good. Yeah, I can kind of see. And plus the Mexican government technically has right to get their own citizens back, right? Yeah. Like if we were to try to flee somewhere else, we can't just go, oh no, I'm French now. America would have the right to bring you back, basically.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, something like that. And I also have the point of, again, it's since you guys have never seen the show Babylon 5, and you really should, there's two, I'm going to spoil this a bit for you. There's two major forces that end up kind of vying over control of the galaxy, and everybody else, like the humans and all the rest of the younger race, get caught in the middle. There's the Vorlons on one side that kind of represent order, and then there's the Shadows on the other side that kind of represent chaos. Now, I'm only using this as kind of like an analogy, but to me, especially having just rewatched Babylon 5, the Vorlons are the Republicans, and they always like to ask the younger races, who are you? The Shadows are the Democrats, and the Shadows always like to say, what do you want? And The thing is, the Shadows and the Vorlons have literally been fighting the same war for millions of years. They've been fighting for so long, they don't even remember what they're fighting for. They're just trying to prove that they're right. Does that sound like anything you know in our government?
Yeah, pretty much.
Angus, what about you? What do you think on that analogy?
No, I like that. It's interesting, and losing sight of what the fight is. I don't know if I know you're in the Marines. I don't know if you deployed, but
Yeah,
like
let us know.
oh, were you Iraq or Afghanistan or both?
We actually didn't go in country. Mostly, I spent my time in the actual no shit Persian Gulf, watching VBSS and doing collections.
Okay.
Out around the oil rigs.
I'm sure it's like this across the Arabic world because their culture is like very age old. Like you take away the like motorcycles and cars and cell phones. They would probably assimilate really well to like medieval or Bible age times. They've stayed very archaic. I don't mean that like in a negative way or something. Like I envy their simplicity in a lot of ways.
Oh, I know what
Um,
you mean.
yeah, and well, like how like there'll be clan or like tribal kind of enemies or what have you, like Hatfields and McCoys,
Yeah,
sort of.
I know what you mean.
And it goes on so long that like they keep it up. They don't know what the root of the problem between the two family names are, but like they never cross lines. It's like Romeo and Juliet and the Montagues and Capulets or whatever, where it's like
Good
it's age
analogy.
old. It's just age old. But with the immigration thing, uh, I used to be Catholic. Now I'm an atheist that I still respect Catholicism and whatnot in the priesthood. And Christian people and some of their audience, I respect a lot of the morals like Crowder talks about, even though I think there's a lot of flaws in the text. But beside the point, with immigration stuff, I think. Oh, the reason I'm talking about being Catholic is because, as in Oklahoma, so we're not far from Texas and Mexico, and of course Catholics. There's a lot of Mexicans that are Catholics, and they're pretty much what sustained our church in Oklahoma. Because I was from a little Baptist town, and the main Mexican family there, they were legal immigrants. They gained their citizenship and stuff, and so I see them, and then I think of illegals, and it's like they're spitting in their face. And then you look at like at least for a while it was being covered, I guess before it became racist to cover that like Phoenix was the worst city in the country, worse than LA or Chicago or New York or anything for crime because with illegal immigration and stuff, you have undocumented people who are trying to assimilate and be good Americans, whatever, but they're easy targets because no one's looking for them for human trafficking. And so you get half and half families where half of them are legal and they're aiding and abetting their illegal immigrant family, and then they become targets. And
Yeah, it devolves. But
yeah, it's just the whole spitting in the face of everyone who worked to be American,
yeah,
and the tradition of like what is it, the Liberty Island or whatever, where it's like well documented all the immigrants that registered to be Americans and stuff.
oh yeah.
Um,
And I have a buddy of mine. His name's Victor. He's half Nigerian, half Russian. If you can believe that. I mean, this guy he's one of the coolest guys I've ever met. But no, he came over legally. He was working for IBM. I met him when I was living in Durham, and he actually gained his citizenship. Like for a gag gift, my wife and I bought him PJ pants that were styled as an American flag, which he thought was the most hysterical.
You cut out for a sec. You guys there?
I'm
dead air.
I'm waiting on Wolf.
Wolf, your voice can't hear you.
Maybe he's engaging the live chat.
We're not hearing anything. Now there's hardly anybody here. Just flipped out and Raymond. What's up, guys? By the way, but
I'm on my
yeah.
phone, so I can't see the chat. But hi, flipped out.
Yeah, I'm on my phone too, just on the computer as well. Have it opened. Yeah, Wolf, we can't hear you if you're talking right now. If your headphones came unplugged or something, because it doesn't look like you're muted.
Yeah, I saw him mute his. Wait.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear?
Yeah.
Now we hear you.
All right. I don't know what the hell happened there. It just kind of out. I had to re-engage my speaker. Sorry.
Let's try to not have any Uncle Ethan moments, all right? Just kidding.
I don't want to be like Uncle Ehe in that regard. But no, what I was saying is I have a legal immigrant for his name's Victor. He's half Nigerian, half Russian. When he actually gained his citizenship, my wife and I bought him PJ pants that were stylized in the American flag.
Okay.
And
when you said you bought him for a sec, I thought you were going to pause and make a joke or something.
no, but no, we bought it. I mean, and the thing is, like right now, he got married and he brought his wife over. Her name's Regina, and she's actually going through the process of getting her own citizenship on her own. And it's just like they're doing it the right way. Why can't other people?
Well, does a lot of it stem from whatever problems are happening in their own country? What do you think?
I don't know, but I honestly think that it goes back to my overarching point, especially in immigration. Both sides are arguing what is right, and they just don't want to do right. We need immigration reform, regardless of which way we go. And it's the same with abortion, LGBTQ, that whole bit. Everything that Congress keeps arguing about but doesn't want to touch because it's like nuclear waste. They don't want to make decisions.
The problem with that, I think the root of it is we have career politicians. We don't have caps like the president.
Exactly.
What do you mean by career politicians?
They just they don't have like a max term limit. Like the president can only serve at max 10 years, 8 years elected, and in 2 years.
But they could go till they're 95. Okay.
Yeah, same with the Supreme Court. Supreme Court makes sense because you're trying to keep it apolitical and not be swayed by whoever is in office or leading Congress.
But there's a problem even with the Supreme Court, but we'll get to that. But no, rookie. Nancy Pelosi. She's been in office for over 20 years. She's been keep getting elected for over 20 years.
Wow.
Was in office for like 30.
Yeah, there was I don't know if he's a state or a U.S. senator, but a guy I'm from Oklahoma originally, so I think it was Coburn, if I'm not mistaken. He believed in term limits, and I think he quit after 4 terms. So it's like, you need guys respect like that, and that when you have a time limit, just like in the NFL, you learn to do it your way, and that it's gonna end at some point. So there's no reason to try to like toe the line. You actually want to pursue meaningful change that you believe in.
You have to actually get your accomplishments done. You can't horse shit around. You got to put in the work and get it done before you can't do it anymore.
Yeah, like Obama, his one term. Obama's one term, as far as I know, before he became president, he voted almost exclusively just like president his whole time in office in the Senate. It's like, what? Like, why is he even there?
Yeah, I don't really know what else to say here.
Well, look at Obama, for example. Look at when he first gets into the office, and he's hellfire and brimstone against immigration. By the end, catch and release, and let him come on over. One hell of a flip, if you ask me.
Yeah.
I think Obama, when he first went into office, was trying to do the change that he wanted to do, and he just got caught up in the machine, and the machine took over.
Oh, dude, speaking of Obama, my biggest indictment of him, like, I don't hate Obama any more or less than any other president or politician. I'm a 1984 independent. I love, I view the government as purple. I don't see it as red or blue. I see it as like, people are like, I think I can play this side better. I think they cast each other and try to play what's popular. And so, perfect example is, Obama, he was able to run against any Republican because Republicans were Bush, and that was 8 years of war and war on terror and all that. So it didn't matter. You could have Jesus run for Republican Party, but he's got the label of Bush on him. And so it was like a slam dunk for Obama, his first term running. And, he ran as like a savior to end the war in Iraq and Afghanistan, this and that. And yet one of the biggest legislative pieces during the Bush era was the Patriot Act, which is a huge infringement on privacy and core American values. He reinstates it when his whole campaign, his whole agenda was like, I'm against everything Bush did, but yet he reinstates it. He does more drone attacks and bombings than Bush did in the Middle East. So it's like, it's purple.
Oh, I thought it was funny. Like one of his major campaign promises was to end this Patriot Act. Then he turns right around and says, for national security, I must reenact the Patriot Act. And it's like, flying sack of monkey shit.
Yeah, I wasn't as active in politics when Bush or Obama was president, so totally lost here.
I will give Obama his due. He did step on a landmine when the economy collapsed out from underneath him, and that was entirely Bush's fault.
It was actually Clinton's fault with policies during the Clinton era that took full effect during Bush, and then Obama dropped the ball with his socialist economy ideals.
well, the problem is that Bush, he took the Clinton policies, but if he had left it alone, it probably wouldn't have collapsed, but he deregulated. He basically slammed down the pedal on deregulation. And as much as I see, I'll give Trump his due. He's getting rid of some regulations, but he's getting rid of the most restrictive regulations.
Yeah,
But he's leaving in regulations that actually work and do their job. Because Obama basically had a knee-jerk reaction and went hyper regulated, and that's why.
Dude, there was like I think Obama made more agencies than FDR.
Oh yeah,
in his first term.
Oh yeah, he hyper regulated the government, which Trump came in and was like, "No, we don't need half of this crap. It's bloated and it's done." I'll give him his due, though I do caution that I think he's going to deregulate a lot like Bush all over again. He's in danger of doing that.
But to give, because I like listening to Rookie, seemingly having a very neutral stance of just like, I've never really cared, now I'm starting to, because I'm aware of Comicsgate and stuff and the culture war that's happening in entertainment, and so you can't help but be aware and become more aware of the politics.
Well, that's technically how I got aware in the first place, was because I'm just trying to enjoy my movies and stuff, and then all this other crap keeps on seeping into it. So I'm like, well, okay, what is this? And then one thing leads to another, and then I watch world-class bullshitters and things, and here I am. So,
well, here's the thing, guys. Our social war is reflected in our Congress, and it is shaping our politics. So you can't say, "Oh, I'm all about keeping an eye on Comicsgate, stuff seeping into our movies," and not pay attention to the very politics that it's seeping into and shaping our country. You have to be worried about it.
Yeah, on Twitter, I see, you'll be looking at something from EVS or someone associated with Comicsgate, and someone, somewhere there's going to be talk of, or in the chats on their videos, there'll be, the fake news or the MAGA bomber or whatever is hot for the day in the news. You'll see that come in, and it's like, yeah.
I mean, the thing is, it's all interconnected now. Politics, our media, our entertainment, it's all interwoven now. I mean, you were talking about intersections. There's the great intersection of our age.
Well, was this also maybe intersected back in the day, like you said, with the other things as well? Like, you think that it was like the government stuff was interjected in media and or entertainment as well?
Oh yeah. Look at the 80s movies, and then look at the Reagan politics.
Well, that's the thing.
Which movies?
I think you just said, look at the Reagan politics and the what movies? I don't even know.
Movies out of the 80s.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a mid-90s kid.
There seems to be a lot of great classic kind of apolitical movies from the 80s when you look back at nostalgia.
Yeah, but the thing is, you can see politics of the 80s in 80s movies for some of them. I mean, look at Trading Places. That was Reaganomics squared.
Yeah, I'm unfamiliar with a lot of 80s films besides sci-fi like Predator and Terminator.
Okay. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. What was the
Okay, hey, I know that one. Yeah, big
talking
time.
about?
I
Reaganomics?
have it. I have not watched it yet.
Dude. Okay.
I don't
Chris
like
Field
Matthew
is
Broderick,
awesome.
so it's hard for me to put it in my Xbox because it's Matthew Broderick and he's the worst.
That's the only thing he's good in.
Oh well, he is Simba. He is a good Simba voice. I'll give him that.
I disagree, but
even though he's a white cultural appropriator being cast as Simba.
yeah, James Earl Jones was the only notable voice in that one. But yeah.
Well, no, Jeremy Irons.
Is that who voiced the dad?
No, Mufasa is James Earl Jones. Irons is Scar.
Yeah.
I guess he's
Cheech
right.
is one of Cheech and Whoopi Goldberg were two of the hyenas too.
Yep.
See how I got us talking about movies now?
Oh no, we're gonna get back to the politics though.
I know.
but look at 90s movies. I know you guys haven't seen Pump Up the Volume, but early Bush Senior politics was highly reflected in the movie Pump Up the Volume. And just, that feeling of we just got out of the 80s, the hair metal band, what now?
See, I look at the 90s as like a pseudo 60s when I look back at Kurt Cobain and Nirvana and stuff in like the kind of the grunge era is what my stepdad really loves, and I hate that crap because it seems like they're trying to be like pseudo hippies and be like, oh man, the man and this and that, but it's like the man is what's allowing you to do this and what's giving you a voice.
Well, the problem was with the 90s, it was trying to figure out, we had just basically won the Cold War. What the hell does this country do now?
We're pretty much at a peak point for a little bit.
Yeah, we basically floundered around through the 90s, and then the War on Terror happened, and it's like, okay, something like the Cold War, let's go do it.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but were there a lot of underdog movies around the 90s? Like, you're down and out, the smaller one, but then you rise through the challenge and beat the big guy or something. Weren't those in the 90s?
Movies.
What?
Major League movies. Look at all the baseball movies that came out in the 90s. It pretty much
yeah.
Hell, most of the sports movies were like that.
I don't know. I look at the 90s from because I was born in 92, so I didn't really start even becoming aware of the world till about 2000, right before 9/11. And looking back though at some iconic pieces, watching like VH1 the 90s and this stuff, I look at the 90s and I see it as, of course, a pseudo 60s era where people are starting to make pseudo like fake, where in the 60s there was like some real social change issues at stake with Vietnam and the hippie movement and this and that, and
this one's putting on a costume, not being real with it. Just
with the 90s it's like, dude, you have nothing to complain about besides like the Gulf War or whatever. You're coming out of Reaganomics and the Cold War's over. Germany and Europe's free.
The process of dismantling a military we no longer needed, though he went a little too far.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Clinton's the last guy who had a balanced budget too. So like America was at its peak state in years with like the 90s. So like there's nothing to complain about the 90s. You look at some of the sitcoms. The sitcoms are so like trying to be like Leave It to Beaver, like perfect middle America and stuff, like like very soft, no real edge to them at all.
Okay. The perfect shows to represent that: Star Trek: The Next Generation and The Wonder Years.
Crickets, bro. I don't know.
I've only watched a little bit. I'm trying to. I started watching the original series. I'm on episode 3 of that. So I grew up with Next Generation, but I was never, mentally aware of it.
So the problem with the 90s is that we were so much in flux. I mean, the internet really took off in like 92, 93. I remember being there for that. My dad was one of the first people to sign up for AOL, so I literally grew up with the internet. I had the internet before half the people I knew in school.
Well, I was about to say, so because you mentioned that, like I was literally born in the mid 90s, and so I had the piece of, the older stuff transitioning into the newer stuff, like the baby internet into the professional internet, the huge bulky house phones to the cell phones, the huge giant TVs and computers to what we have now, CDs to MP3s and iPods and stuff. So I was literally within the transitioning generation.
Dude, I still have an MP3 player.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I don't know, for me, I feel like an old man in a way because things were so different when I was younger.
Rookie, you're talking
that
about
transition.
a guy spending his formative years, 91 to pretty much 2000. That was pretty much almost my entire school decade. Is I went to kindergarten in 89, I graduated in 2001. So I lived all of that when everything was going into change, when DVDs was a brand new thing because we were still off working with VHS and DVDs, oh, that's going to be a fad, and it just took the world by storm. I remember Buster.
Yep.
I remember was the rage. I remember when people were still trying to figure out what they were going to do with the internet.
Yeah, good times. And
I remember 9600 kps dial-up.
Do you think that's why also right now we keep on arguing about the same old stuff because there's really nothing to argue about? There's like no real problems. We're just like, oh, let's just dip back in the pool of the old stuff and complain about that. Do we have a nostalgia with finding the same problems or something?
Well, thing is, we, except for technological advances, and don't get me wrong, since 1985 to now, we have leapt forward in ways that
we'd be considered aliens to the 80s.
Yeah, but you also look at, say, Back to the Future 2. Where are the hoverboards? Where are the hover cars? You watch a movie like 2001: A Space Odyssey, and you look at today, and it's like 17 years ago, we were supposed to be to Jupiter already.
I do agree with that. Our space exploration stuff should have been. We should at least be on Mars by now, or an asteroid or something. Like we have nothing.
Space travel should be the most paramount. That would unify. That would help us push to a natural Star Trek progression. Is the space industry.
I mean, look at all the resources floating, a couple 100,000 miles, about 50 million miles away. That asteroid, though.
That's been my argument for so long. I mean, we keep on depleting our own resources, and oil and stuff will run out. It's like, and our water isn't all pure. How much clean water we have? We have an entire untapped plethora, like almost not an infinite amount, but a seemingly infinite amount in our own solar system, and we have the means to get there, but we just don't dedicate to it.
Sorry, you just made me think of I like a lot of if you're talking about politics, I like a lot of at least angles Trump is taking with his office, even if it's hard to actually enact anything. But you reminded me of the funny stuff of how he made a character of himself to sell to half of America. And one of those things that was during the campaign, he's like, we're going to get coal, we're going to get clean coal, we're going to get the coal out, and we're going to clean it and stuff. And it's just like, that's not how it is at all.
Oh, flipped out. We got the self-lacing shoes, and he's giving a smiley face. Yeah, or the self-cleaning clothes. Jacket dry on. Your jacket is now dry. Where's that stuff?
I bet we have the stuff, but the government's not releasing it yet until 2025.
I do believe in some conspiracies like that, with technology and stuff. They withhold the real advancement so they can keep selling. Probably 5-10 years ago, we could already be at an iPhone 10 like we are now. But they're like, well, if we only do if we break down this advancement into 10 pieces, we can sell a lot more units each year.
Angus, or you want to hear something really mental? Well,
I was trying to make a guess, but what?
Well, a lot of people don't realize is, the LTE really fast speed they say we have on our cell phones and our really fast 100 megabits per second. You know how pathetically slow that is to other places in the world that laugh at us?
Not particularly, but I would expect that there are faster ways, but this is just what they've decided to release to us in America.
Let me blow your mind. Let me really blow your mind.
Blow it. Okay, go.
Who invented fiber optics?
No idea.
The United States did. Who invented multispectrum fiber optics?
Bill Gates. I have no idea.
The United States. I don't know exactly who did it, but
I thought you were saying a specific inventor.
Now, here's what's really gonna piss you off. Who's the most fiber optically wired nation in the world?
China, probably.
Japan.
Africa. Just kidding.
They download on their phones, no less, gigabytes in seconds.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
That's how fast they are. They're like on 5th Gen Plus and laughing at us at our 4G LTE. The problem is that we have a bunch of greedy corporations in the telecoms community that don't want to spend the billions of dollars to rip out all the copper and put in fiber optic. We actually have less fiber optic per square mile in this country than they can fill up the state of Rhode Island.
Okay.
That's how far behind the power curve we are when it comes to information flow and technology. And here's the best part, Rookie. 15 years ago, the government gave the telecom communications a gigantic tax break. We're talking billions of dollars. So they could go out and rip out all the stuff and start putting in fiber optics. Telecom communities pocketed it and never did anything with it.
I was about to say, is that how they made Hulu? They just, we'll invest it somewhere else.
No, they didn't. They just and gave it out to all their investors and laughed at the government, and the government has never gone back for it.
One thing I was going to add to Rookie's idea of, we're just arguing about stuff that doesn't matter, like we should be beyond now. I'll find the link and I'll put it on Twitter for us and for everyone because I want to rewatch it. But Wisecrack, that's kind of the angle I want to be able to make someday with my philosophy thread is what they do with pop culture and philosophy. They have this thing about like information and the access and how it becomes futile and how it was just we're absorbing so much information we don't learn anything. And you see it in how we have quick access to Google and we can figure out, quick, oh, what's this or what's that book or, whatever little thing you want to know about. You can get a quick summary and you pocket that information, but you've not, worked at all for it. And
you don't retain any of it, and you'll forget about it unless you can access it on the internet. It doesn't stay in a library in your head.
Yeah. The video goes way deeper. It talks about like, the cultures we have of, oh man, like Flint, Michigan, we got to fight for their water. And then like these, fundraisers and stuff that people use to virtue signal never get actually funded.
Yeah, is that still a thing? The Flint, Michigan thing?
Oh, that's still a problem, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about it for a while. I feel like it faded out or got fixed. I don't even know.
Well, it's because it's not politically advantageous to use right now for whoever is in power.
Well, Angus, going back to that thing about, not ever retaining information. When I was young, I knew the phone numbers of my house.
Yes.
My dad.
I remember that as well.
School, the actual phone number to my police department, the phone number to my, babysitter.
What's the number for 911?
Oh God, that movie's so bad.
But literally, we literally. If you didn't hear my wife, but that's literally where we've come to, where we don't. I barely even know my own phone number these days anymore. The only reason I know is because I have to use it every day in truck driving.
Yep, I hear you. I order pizza a lot, so they like to have the phone number.
Yeah. But the thing is, it's like my entire phone directory, the only number I really know by heart besides my own is my wife's. Other than that, I don't remember a phone number to save my life.
See, I actually don't have my mom's home number in my phone. My wife thinks it's weird, and I guess it is if, someone needed to access my phone to, like, call family for emergencies. But I don't have my mom's phone number in there because it's like, well, I want to remember my old home number. I don't want to just, have it go to, an automated little notebook that means nothing.
I hear you. I still remember my old home phone number, even though I'll never use it again. But
I remember mine too. I'll never remember it. I'll never use it again.
Yeah, that's weird. That is a good point, though. I mean, I do think that schools exactly should maybe try to get some type of education thing that is more, I don't know, retaining, I suppose, as we keep on going into this world where we can just look it up and memorize it real quick and then forget about it forever. I don't know. There's got to be some type of a conditioning to remember things more often.
Here's one, and I saw this thing on Facebook. It was this guy talking about, I can remember the periodic tables, but I don't know how to sew my own clothes. I can, cite off this, that, and the other, but I don't understand how tax law applies to me. I know the different amendments of the Constitution, but I don't know how they apply to me in my everyday life. And it's just like you're sitting there watching this video and go, that is so pathetic. And why aren't we teaching kids how to balance their checkbook in high school? How to deal with tax laws? Because I had no fucking clue coming out of high school how to deal with taxes. That was a crash course.
That was one of my first things coming out of high school that I thought, I'm like, why didn't they teach you how to do taxes? And what's funny too is that like my mom worked with special ed kids sometimes as like a paraeducator, and one of the things they do a lot was like they teach the kids how to do their own laundry. Yeah, they teach them how to sew sometimes. They teach them how to use the bus, how to do all these other things that a lot of people don't know how to do when they leave high school because they don't get taught or learn it at some point for some reason. It was like they're leaving with more skills than some of the actual non-special ed people.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, that's crazy. But
it makes me think of like some of those classic pictures you see of like the 50s and pre-50s era of America. Like what the whole, like going back to the initial, like the MAGA idea, like I think MAGA represents like, an idea of like, sure, there was, racial inequality and this and that in like the 50s and 60s, but that was the last era where America was really self-sufficient, and we, weren't just able to throw money around, we were able to throw around our industry and our knowledge base. And looking back, people theoretically, I would say at least, had more easy access to guns because they weren't stigmatized like today. And you never hear about school shootings. They used to teach kids in school how to handle a gun and where's the safety, how to hold it, like stuff I'll teach my son. And I don't even have a gun, but I'm going to ensure that he knows not to flag his battle buddies when he holds a gun. Like I get so paranoid with civilians because I learned that.
Colin Noir, if you've never seen one of his videos, he talks about some of the people who go to the range, and one of them was the guy that flags everybody. You see people ducking and diving, like, oh shit!
What?
And it's like I remember I was on, just to give you a Marine story, I was on the rifle range one day. Guy was getting up, we were coming out of the prone position and out of a rapid fire. And you're supposed to hold your rifle downrange to your left hand. Well, he had accidentally turned and he ended up flagging the entire firing line. That's a big no-no in the Corps.
Yeah. Rookie Critic seems a bit unaware. Flagging is just, if you didn't get it from what he's explaining.
No, I didn't really get what he meant.
Okay, so like when you have a rifle or a weapon, you always have it, depending how you're holding it, up in the air, as far as where the barrel's pointing, or down the ground.
Oh, right. So even if it's not loaded, you're still not supposed to point it toward anybody.
You would still.
Right. Okay.
You treat a weapon like it's always loaded, and you always check to make sure it's unloaded anytime it changes hands. And you just always treat it like it is, and you never point it at someone. So that's what a flag is.
Yeah. Angus, I'll tell Rookie. These are the 4 safety rules when handling a gun. Treat every weapon as if it were loaded. Never point your weapon at anything you do not intend to shoot. Keep your finger straightened off the trigger until you are ready to fire. Keep your weapon on safe till you intend to fire. You follow those 4 safety rules, you'll never hurt somebody with a gun.
They should at least teach those in school, I would say.
Oh, I wholeheartedly agree.
Well, and I was actually going to make a weird comparison. This may be a non-related comparison, but it's like with the Jedi and the Sith, how like the Jedi seem to be tempted by the dark side all the time, but they try to keep it from them completely. If they learn some of it, maybe they'd know when to use it and when not to. And like with guns, if you are completely oblivious of how they work at all, and then you're all of a sudden just of an age where you're allowed to handle a gun, and then you just can buy one, and then you don't know all the responsibilities, you don't know all of this. When you're young, they teach you look both ways before you cross the road, don't stick your hand in the fire, all the etc. stuff you've learned as a kid. I mean, it seems obvious that they should teach gun safety as kids, and they did that for how many years, and with rifles and everything, and you would never think, oh yeah, if somebody's gonna get shot today, No, everybody's going to handle their guns safely because they know how, and they teach them self-temperament or something so they don't get all crazy. I mean, even if there were gangs at schools back in those days, I doubt that they used the actual rifles from schools to kill anybody, right?
Well, not only that, Rookie, but everybody says, oh, we have to ban assault weapons. Every time someone brings that up, I bring the Texas Bell shooting incident that happened in the mid-'60s. Charles Whitman with a 3-round bolt-action rifle magazine. You know, basically he only had 3 rounds that, you know, he could...
Are you talking about the University of Texas sniper?
Yeah, that guy. He had a 3-round bolt-action rifle. He'd have 3 rounds in the magazine before he had to reload it. He managed to kill 19 people with a bolt-action rifle. Don't tell me that assault rifles are so, oh my God, amazingly scary, and oh my God, they're more lethal than anything else. No, a gun is a gun is a gun, and it'll kill someone if you know how to do it.
Well, I mean, I guess I see it like if you have a machine gun that has, I don't know how many bullets, even 30 bullets, that's 30 people you can kill right there, as to where like a pistol, maybe it has 6, 8, 10, 12, whatever, and that's, limited to that. But you do make a point by, well, they could just reload. So that does kind of defeat that. That alone kind of defeats the argument. Or if there's 2 pistols, or if there's somebody else, you meet up with a buddy who has one also. I mean, there's a lot of points you can make to kind of neutralize the argument.
Rookie. Columbine killed how many students with 2 pistol carbines, a pair of shotguns?
Which shooting was that? When was that?
Columbine,
99.
No, I thought it was 2000.
No, it was the class of 99 that got attacked.
Yeah, in Columbine, Colorado. So, and it was basically a pair of pistol carbines. It was a Tech 9, an OEM pistol carbine, because I looked it up one day. 2 shotguns and some pipe bombs and a couple of knives. They managed to kill, I think, 19 people, wound some more, then kill themselves. No quote-unquote assault rifle anywhere within view. Hell, I read about this one article in China. Man went on a stabbing spree, stabbed 139 people in the span of like 15 minutes.
Holy shit.
Killed most.
How many points did he get? No, just kidding. That was a bad joke.
I know. Oh, my wife was laughing over there, but no, he killed them. A grand majority of those 139 people he stabbed before the cops finally took him down.
Is he a freaking ninja? Like, what the?
Well, they couldn't cross match the ballistics.
Samurai going around slicing throats. That's what I'm saying.
Or the best thing I always like to point out at people. Well, 2 things. One, London banned knives because they had a higher murder rate in New York City with no guns. They were stabbing people to death.
Wait, doesn't Australia have no guns, or some country have no guns?
Their crime rate is their gun crime went way down,
but they still have crime.
But their overall crime didn't even blink. In fact, their unarmed crime spiked for about 3 months. Like bludgeoning and stabbing murders jumped.
If anything, it's probably more or less merciful kills now, right?
Exactly.
But
strangles, I would imagine, beaten to death, bludgeoned to the head.
But watching The Last Jedi.
Rookie.
Yeah.
Here's the ultimate FU to the anti-gun crowd. Look at Switzerland. Everybody at 18 years old is required to do 2 years of federal prison of some kind, and they are required by law to own a gun. They actually get issued one by the government. Their crime rate's actually is the lowest in the world.
Then why do you think that is, though?
Hey, what's up, Mr. Rhapsody? Nice for you to join us. Because, 1, everybody's trained how to use those weapons. 2, the laws protect those people if they use it in self-defense. It's not like everybody goes around healed. It's the Wild freaking West. Most of them keep it at home. But most criminals don't want to go somewhere where they know they're likely to be shot. I'll give you a bet.
That's a good... hold on. Let me try to paint a picture so that it sounds so if I get what you're saying. So if you're in a town, let's say you're in let's just say California. Let's just say a whole state, California, and every citizen knows how to use a gun. Everybody knows how to use them. They all know gun safety. They all know it. Do you think that the crimes in California would go down because any gang member who tries to do something, they are messing with people that also know how to use a gun.
No.
Okay, yeah, I'm just trying to see. Okay.
They need a gun. Knowing how to use a gun without having a gun is worthless. That's why Switzerland is so safe, because they all have guns and they all know how to use them, and they'll all be protected by the law to use them in self-defense.
So South Park was right.
Yeah, in fact,
did you see that?
There is a town outside of Atlanta, Georgia. I think it's Tennessee, Georgia, or right, Tennessee, Georgia. That place where I was meant to. Atlanta bonded. Kennesaw, Georgia. By town ordinance, everyone is required to own and maintain a gun. They have one of the lowest murder rates in the nation. And this isn't a town out in the middle of Georgia somewhere. This is like 10 minutes north of Atlanta on I-75. I used to go there all the time as a truck driver.
How do you enforce people to have a gun in America? It sounds unheard of to me, especially with all the politicization. I fucking hate that word. The politicking of guns in America.
Yes, flipped out. You're right. They have to own a gun in Kennesaw. It's town ordinance. In fact, if you can't afford a gun, I think the police station will actually give you one. They'll actually issue you one.
Wow, that's crazy.
But the thing is, and like I said, this isn't some little town out in the middle of Hickville, Georgia. This is pretty much a suburb of Atlanta. Yeah, Kennesaw has almost no crime. I think they had their first murder about a year ago in like 6 years.
Okay.
Well, no, I was just wondering how that would even, like, I can see, protecting the Second Amendment to, like, not take your arms, but I don't say I could enforce.
Like, you must have a gun. You gotta
compelling you to have
provide
one.
the guns.
Like,
are they going to provide the guns for you, or do you have to buy it yourself? Yeah, that's a good point.
You can choose to buy it yourself, but I think they will provide you one. Like the.
Well, what if you're like a Quaker or like Jehovah's Witness or like a indoctrinated pacifist of some sort, a Buddhist?
They will fine you or tell you to move, but no one gets pissed off about it because the thing is, Kennesaw, Georgia, is literally pretty much the safest suburb around Atlanta. Really, the safest.
Well, technically, Angus, too, he doesn't have to ever use the gun. You could lock it in a safe.
A lot of people do. They just lock it up somewhere and never touch it. And, a cop can say, hey, do you still have your gun? And I'm like, yeah, it's at home locked up. And the cop goes, okay, fine.
Do you have to have ammunition, or do you just have the gun? Is there a rule? Like, if you have a gun, you must have...
I think you have to have ammo, too. You think you have to have a certain amount of shots. I don't know the law.
How do they make sure that you have all this stuff? That seems... very like a lot of work to make sure. You got your gun? You got your gun today? I don't know.
Ricky, you don't have to have it wrapped on you. You just have to have it at home. You can have it at home locked up. You just have to have one.
Well, that's what I'm saying though. How do they know that you just have one? That just doesn't seem like that would register very well with checking. Or if you
buy the
gun
with the town. You take gun registries.
See,
I don't know.
The problem that Rookie is making me think of, as far as it seems similar at least, is like the amendments where like you can't be compelled to like house the military or whatever. It was in response to how like the British would force themselves into homes.
The Third Amendment.
Yeah, it sounds like an infringement of it sounds like a borderline infringement of that kind of government philosophy that America's built on, where it's like
the thing is though, no one's arguing it. No one fights it. They all like it. Because guess what? Their crime rate's almost nothing. It's just one of the things they deal with because their crime rate's zero, basically.
Pointing out that you have to get a license to get the gun still. So it's not just like you just get a gun.
Yeah.
You still have to take a test to get your gun. Okay, that makes more sense to me.
Yeah, you have to get a license to know that, but they require you to have it. But guess what? Blind people who want to commit a crime usually just don't go to Kennesaw, Georgia.
Well, and if they use their gun, it'd be likely registered. There'd be less illegal guns, I would assume. Assume, right?
Well, not only that, it's just, you get licensed, you have your gun, the local laws there protect you for self-defense of your house. Like someone breaks an entry and you shoot and you kill them, you're protected by the law. There is no investigation. If you can literally prove they broke into your house and you shot to defend your house and home and well-being. It's not like some states where I think it was Michigan, Ohio, or Illinois, where some guy broke in, a guy pulled out his AR-15 and blew the kid away, and now is getting charged with murder for defending his own home with his own rifle that was completely licensed and legal. I'm like, it's like, excuse me?
Yeah. Did you ever watch Married with Children?
Some of it. I didn't watch all of it.
There's an episode where some guy broke into his house and he beats up the guy that broke in, and then the guy sued him.
I've heard of this.
And he always gets screwed on the show all the time. But that was like another example of like the dude broke into his house intending to steal and harm the family, and he defended the house and family, and he's getting screwed over by this.
Rookie, that was in response to an actual case that happened in California. It was in
I figured
a guy was trying to break into a house, fell through the skylight, cut himself, sued the family, and won.
I don't even understand how that can be fathomable to a thing. Like trying to see all aspects here. You wouldn't that wouldn't have happened if he wasn't trying to break in. So,
and the thing is, no criminal charges were ever pressed against the guy either. We were, left, right, center. We were all just like, what the fuck are we hearing? What
was that the only time that happened, or a case like that won, or does that still kind of happen today, or in certain areas?
I don't know, but I wouldn't shock me. But no, this one shocked California. This guy actually managed to sue and win. In fact, it was made fun of in Liar Liar.
Oh, the old Jim Carrey.
Yeah, if you've ever seen Liar Liar, where his secretary comes up and goes through that case, and Jim Carrey, he can't lie. He's like, I'd have gotten him more, and his secretary stomps out.
I just remember when he's like, "You got me this antique silver frame from Tiffany's. 10.50 marked down from 10."
I used to fucking love Liar Liar as a kid, even though I didn't understand what I was watching because of the freaking antics and the bloopers in the credits of Jim Carrey. It was just so hilarious. Like, I used to just die and put on rewind the freaking origami scene. I don't know why it's not funny now that I'm an adult, but
that was a lot with Jim Carrey movies.
You're rekindling that love and the love of Batman Forever's Jim Carrey's Riddler. Like, it's still endearing.
Well, the thing is that Batman Forever probably would have been just as good as Returns or the first Batman, 89 Batman, if the script had just been a little bit better and Jim Carrey had been allowed to do what he really wanted. He got told to be really cartoonish. He wanted to make Riddler dark.
Yeah,
I can't see Jim Carrey be dark.
Like Christopher Nolan dark. That's how dark Jim Carrey really wanted to take the Riddler, and he actually got overridden. He was actually pissed about it.
Yeah, even though it's like still like cheesy and stuff, and you saw like the beginning of the end before Batman and Robin for Batman in the 90s, there's still like it's still pretty freaking creepy. The whole mind control with the TV and stuff is like shit. That's it's like some Alex Jones shit type of plot. But to add to like some of the stuff y'all are talking about with guns and the crazy stuff and talking about training kids to understand gun safety and whatnot. I didn't read into it, but I saw an article headline about trying to teach kids to steal their parents' guns and give them to teachers.
I don't understand what the point would be.
To circumvent the Second Amendment, essentially.
Wait, to steal the guns to give to, but that would be. Doesn't make any sense.
To disarm citizens because everyone hates the Second Amendment. It was from The Guardian, I think.
This sounds like a nothing thing that even the dumbest person wouldn't do because that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Well, everybody was saying was, it brought up right after the whole Florida shooting was, why don't we let the teachers who want to be, let them be armed. Let them get license. Let them have a concealed carry.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't want my kids around guns, to be honest, like with people I don't know. And especially with the stress that teachers have. My wife is a little kid teacher. She teach her the Head Start, and it's like I would want to her have a fucking gun when she's had a long day with freaking 4-year-olds all day.
Well, it's not just that. Since you brought it up, I have a good point on that. So teachers are expected to teach kids, parent kids, counsel kids, do so much with them, and now they want them to be their bodyguard and protect them. And let's just make a fake scenario real quick. Let's say a kid pulls out a gun and wants to shoot people. Do you really think that teacher wants to shoot a kid? And if it was somebody else, I mean, do you think the teacher can just go to wherever the problem is and deal with it all the time? That security guard that was at the scene or whatever, who knows what was going on to where he couldn't respond? I mean, you don't know all the stuff when it's happening. It's easy to look at it from
here's how
outside,
you fix that.
but not.
Here's how you fix that, rookie. You give every child a handgun
No,
so they can protect themselves.
Yes. How do we fix this, guys? More guns. Okay, everybody has a gun that nothing can go wrong.
I love it. It reminds me of The Onion. They were making fun of Republicans and stuff and gun rights, and there is like, I think they said Arizona passed a new gun law where you can open carry, but you have to carry at head height. So everyone's like got guns in each other's face while they're pushing their carts in the supermarket.
But no, but what I was thinking is we have all these veterans who are all trained. Some of them jobs, who don't really have jobs, they'll protect kids with their lives. That'll give them some meaning.
True. You're saying they should be on campus police guards or something?
No, like special. Patrol? Yeah, the funny part is right after Columbine in my high school, because my high school was like literally 2.5 blocks from actually not even a block from the police station, just because the way my town was laid out. Usually when I went to lunch, because it was an open campus for lunch, you could actually go off campus and grab lunch and come back. Yeah, we had cops sitting on foot patrol right next to the principal's office. Like, almost every day we went to lunch. You sit and go talk to them and everything. I mean, there are schools that actually have cops on campus. In fact, there was that one shooting in Maryland. Kid killed one person, and then the cop who was there pulled his gun and blew his brains out.
Yeah, I was about to add to that. I was thinking, because I'm close to Columbus, Ohio, and we have inner city and whatnot. I'm not aware. I'm not in contact with people that have kids in the inner city schools, but I'm certain, since they're predominantly black and whatnot, and fear mongering on top of it, I'm certain that there's metal detectors and cops with guns at these schools. So it's not like a far-fetched idea that hasn't been instituted, at least in minority schools. Well,
the problem is, Angus, for every school in America, we don't have enough cops. They never do anything else besides protect kids.
Yeah, saying the TSA or whatever, or the PSA or whatever, the airport.
TSA.
Yeah, TSA.
But anyway.
But speaking of guns, a good segue I think we could start with is the quote unquote MAGA bomber. What are y'all's thoughts or knowledge?
I don't really understand what's going on with that.
Basically, this guy had this van that had MAGA and stuff over it. He sent these quote unquote pipe bombs that even the ordnance guys are saying these are the dumbest looking bombs I've ever seen and probably wouldn't even work anyway.
Yeah.
Why is there a clock on these bombs? It doesn't make sense for the type of bomb it is if he's mailing them to him.
Yeah, well, Angus, on
like
top
Wile E. Coyote.
If you look at his social media and who he's following, it's all leftists.
Yeah, but they're saying he's registered Republican, but he's a previous felon, so he can't vote. So
this guy is basically round the bend, and I think he was just in his own crazy way trying to help the Democratic Party get a sympathy vote. That's just my 2 cents. I don't.
So they go don't vote Republican because they have car pipe bombers.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, dude. Critic is just from the get-go. It's like these things have to be over 13 ounces, which requires you to have them processed at a post office for delivery. They would be postmarked.
Okay. Did you cut out?
It would have office.
There you go.
You cut out for a sec.
Angus, you cut out for about 10 seconds.
I'm sorry?
You cut out for about 10 seconds.
Yeah, sorry, my wife tried to call me. There's just a lot of weird things with the postmark and stuff, and like it's just people. I'm looking at Ben Shapiro's Twitter, and he keeps playing it safe, where it's like the idea that these are phony or fake news, bombs sent to themselves to get sympathy votes. He's playing it safe, but I think that, not because I like what stuff that Trump's doing or whatever, because I would like to have a good Democratic opponent to raise the stakes. But no, it seems very convenient that Kavanaugh didn't work. That blew up in their face, and now they're like sweating because Republicans across the states have better chances of taking seats in the midterms. So it's like it's like a last ditch effort.
Well, I'm trying to. Here, you go, Wolf. I think I have a little bit to say, but you go.
All right. Well, here's the thing. Before Kavanaugh, I mean, the Senate was pretty much locked up by the Republicans, but the Democrats were at least going to force pretty much this, where we have pretty much a 50-50 split with the vice president being the tiebreaker. But now, especially in the Senate, the Republicans are pretty much almost set to gain like 4 seats, where they'll always win the vote in the Senate. The House, on the other hand, the Democrats a month and a half ago were probably set to take the House and take it by a pretty good majority of like 30 to 40 seats. Now it's a foot race where the Democrats might win, but it might be by like 5 seats. And it'll be so fragile that half of those Democrats will probably go across the aisle a good chunk of the time and shut down what the Democrats want to do anyways. So the Kavanaugh was a major blowback because they did the one thing they didn't want to do. They woke up the Republicans and got them in the game. Because about a month and a half ago, most of the Republicans were just we're not worried about it. Now they're roused and coming out to vote.
That's a good point. So yeah, it's not as cut as it would have been.
Yeah, I mean, there's 2-to-1 odds that the Democrats will take the House, but it's 2-to-1 odds that not only will the Republicans retain the Senate, they're going to increase their lead in the Senate by a good couple of seats.
Well, I have a couple things to say with this. So, for one, with the way that they've been going with it, and like I said, I'm not as involved in what happens with the politics lately and whatnot, but has there been anything good that the Democrats have had to offer lately, or have they only been doing these kind of fake tactics, or that could be seen as fake tactics? Because with the bomb thing, I don't see how. Let's just say that it was Republicans that really did this. Let's just say some voters or something were doing these pipe bomb things. How would anyone think that would help the Republicans?
It supposedly swings the sympathy vote, because here's the thing, Rookie, and Angus, I don't know if you know this too. The Republicans and the Democrats in and of themselves don't actually fully elect the person that goes into office. It's the swing votes like the independents that really decide one way or the other, and that's who they're really trying to convince. You don't really need to convince your party so much to vote for you as you need other people to vote for you. That's why they're always talking about Latino blocks, African-American blocks, because you never know which way they're going to jump. You have your core audience on either side. Everybody in the middle you're fighting over.
Right, but like what I'm saying is, let's just say that this was a Republican that did do the bomb thing. How do they think that would help? If it was that would be Republican trying to do it for Republicans. How would they think that would benefit Republicans?
Well, Rookie, no, it's all about spin, because the Democrats will say, look what they tried to do to us. They attacked us right before this. They're crazy. Vote for us. It's a spin move.
Right. So that's what I was kind of get to a point to. And you mentioned the Kavanaugh thing, how that was basically a spin move also, right?
Yeah, but that completely blew up.
Right, but the fact that it was a spin move is what I'm saying. Has there been anything positive that they have offered lately on the Democratic side? 2
years since the election, no. They've literally just gone from thing to be hysterical to thing to be hysterical to thing to be hysterical to thing to be hysterical. It was
because they've acted like it's the end of the world since the election. And when I was doing the Comicsgate video a while ago, I was just trying to see what actual footage was from the reaction of his presidency, and there's just clips of people going "fuck Donald Trump," and breaking windows and knocking over trash cans and vandalizing cars, and I was just like, well, how do they think that this makes them better? How does that help them with anything?
Yeah, I want you to do something. Think about this. For the major things that are talking points for both parties as we're heading into November 6th, what's the Democrats' number one thing?
Fuck Trump.
Besides that.
I have no idea. I don't even know.
Well, it basically goes into fuck Trump, but #resist. That is literally their number one part of their platform. And it's like, resist what?
So what I'm saying is they are offering nothing, right? Because it seems to be opposing something, but they're not offering anything.
Well, they have their normal platform that they always talk about, but in response to the Republican platform, it's just resist. They have no real talking platform besides the tried old and true bullshit that we've heard, 20 fucking elections by now for our lives. I mean, they'll talk about it in their own elections, but as a group policy, they've got nothing.
Which that kind of annoys me big time because, like I said, I'm trying to be more centered for the most part. But when I can't even see, I hear loud and clear what Republicans are saying and what they want, and I can't hear at all what the Democrats want. What is their goal? What do they want? What?
There's a really great channel called Timcast. The guy's name is Tim Pool. He's basically a liberal, but he's a classic liberal. He's literally what you would determine as a classic liberal, and he's literally lambasting the left and right of what in the name of hell are you guys doing? He's even said it. You guys have no platform to talk about. It's just #resist. While the Republicans are talking about economy, immigration, this, that, and the other. MAGA, yeah, it's a slogan, but it's not one of their talking points as just, that's our platform. This is how we're going to do MAGA. Even though I don't think they could sustain it past Trump, which is a whole nother talking point, which is what we started with in the first place, Angus, right?
Well, one thing I was going to add, actually, that I think might be interesting is, have you followed at all any of this news of, what is it? There's this new hashtag movement, trans rights or humans rights or whatever.
I don't follow hashtags. I have no idea.
They're trying to resist, Trump and Sessions changing Title IX to define gender as what your genitals are at birth, and of course, with exceptions for intersex ambiguousness.
Yeah,
on Facebook, I heard that this is already a thing. I don't know if that
basically signed an executive order stating that sex is male or female. It is not a construct. It is not fluid. What you're born are, that's what's going to be reflected on your damn birth certificate and your ID and stuff like that. And wherever you want to call yourself is something completely different. He basically took the government completely out of this whole transgender bullshit. And it's not its business to be there in the first place, though the left seems to think it is. That's like one of my major bones of contention with the left. They seem to think the government needs to be mommy and daddy and do everything. Where I'm in the opinion of it needs to do some of that kind of stuff, but it doesn't need to be in every goddamn thing. Like it doesn't need to be in marriage. It doesn't need to be in identity.
Bathrooms.
It be in other stuff like that. Basically, here to keep the goddamn country functioning so we can all flourish. Other than that, needs to stay the fuck out of it, and we deal with it.
I agree with that in a way. I mean, the way that they frame it on Facebook, or at least the ones that come up on my feed, are they're trying to deny people their rights, and they hate it, and they'll discriminate them, and they aren't people or something. When based on just what you told me just now, it sounds like they're just saying, well, you can be whatever, but when it comes down to are you, when the government is asking you what you are you this or that? Answer without giving one of the 50 things that they've come up with. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Well, Rookie, look at it this way. I'll use me as an example. This is just an example. I am a straight heterosexual male, but let's just say for the sake of the fact, I've gone through the transition. I identify as a female. I've done the whole sex change and everything. Even if I got in a car crash, the doctors still need to know biologically what the hell I came out as, because even as a changed male, I still have male markers that they need to deal with medically to help treat me. If they don't know that, they can mistreat you and kill you.
That's a good point. I've actually heard that on Chris Rock's comedy special or something. That was it was the same thing. There's a lady dude that got knocked out or something, and he's like, "Well, what?" He's like, well, "What's up?" And then they're like, "It's a she. Why are you calling it a he?" And he's like, "Well, they need to know, right?" And they're like, "No, say it's a she." He's like, "No, but it's a he though." But
oh my god, dude,
they're getting mad. It was like,
got me literally shaking because I hate this whole fake movement. Okay, see, that's the problem with the left and the Democrats, and that's why they're always losers in social issues like this, because it's made up. Because what I was talking about, where it's like, when you make me think about it, it seems like we're just a new form of '80s, like Jeff was Wolf was pointing out. Where I was talking about like socialism versus democracy, we're Republican democracy, as far as voting for your representative.
Democracy, and you know what? You know what really scares me? The Democratic Socialists of America and this old Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Oh god, she's an idiot. But with the trans thing,
here, go ahead.
Oh yeah. With the trans thing, it's funny you're talking about like the lady man or whatever. That's like a trigger for someone that might come across this call as hate speech.
Well, I'd say I don't know what the hell it's called. I'm not going to do all the research for it. Yeah, sorry, well,
I love sports.
That's what I'd say.
I love sports. And Wolf, when did you get out of the Marines?
2008. Like, okay, I got out a few months before Obama got elected.
Okay, so you're 4 years before I joined. All right, so I'm going to tie this all together. So with like but it's a he, but no, it's a she. Look at sports. You're having all these instances, including in I think the UFC, where you're having these men become women, and now they're the top dog in the fight because biologically they're men and their body is built off testosterone. Even if they hinder their body with estrogen, they're still a man. They're still going to kick the shit out of any woman that comes across them. It's an unfair advantage because they're men biologically. And you see, and the other thing, I'm tying this with the military. Okay, I said this before. Any social change goes through the military first because it's a little breeding ground. Vaccines, that they test everything on the military, knowingly or unknowingly. A lot of medical advancements with community health start in the military, like how they dealt with fever. That was World War One. Vaccines is around World War One as well. Well, when I was
sterilization happened in World War II in Vietnam.
Yeah, my time in the military, my 4 years, I didn't even think about this, but they had SHARP, which was sexual harassment and rape prevention, and we had to have 4 briefings at least a year. And the military is almost exclusively male, and you're getting these briefings that are just deriding you. The whole like feminist crap we see now on Twitter and stuff, and the feminazis and all this stuff, the pussy hats, that stuff started in the military with trying to say, oh, men are rapists, and you're all bad, and watch out for each other because you'll rape each other, and it's all prevalent. It's around every corner. That started in the military, and then it sunk its way. They tested it on us essentially. And the other thing with the military is I love when Trump put his foot down right when he got in office. He's like, yeah, trans in the army, in the military, that's done. We're not paying for your transition. You're not going to join a socialist medical system just to get your transition taken care of.
Well, I was against that for medical reasons because my wife, she got bariatric surgery. She was a sailor. Up until we actually found out a few weeks ago, I think they've changed that rule, but for about a decade, you had any kind of bariatric surgery, you were disbarred under medical reasons from being in the military. Like if you got like a sleeve or a bypass, you were thrown out. Even if it was, a health initiative to get you, possibly in standards, and you could be totally just fine physically, you still had the surgery, you're gone.
Yeah, but
people basically want special privilege to have that surgery, remain in uniform, and be paid for. And I'm like, that's not fucking fair. And I think I pretty much lost a friend over this because she was all about transgender. It's like, Taylor, why should someone who does something that physically deforms themselves, they have to have the hormones and pills and stuff like that? allowed to remain on remain on active duty. That is a medical discharge, period.
Yeah, to go off saying with the trans thing is I know there's cunt boys like in porn and stuff. I know there's female to male transition, but by and large, every transgender person is a male to female because there's an inherent advantage to being a female that they don't talk about the female privilege in America because it goes against the narrative. In the military, they have two standards for the sexes when it comes to physical training and conditioning and standards.
Oh God, don't even get me started.
So of course, like you don't see women in the military trying to be a man because they have to essentially double their standards when they become a man. So you don't hear about that. It's only men trying to be women because they get to lower the standards physically of what they have to do to stay in the military and possibly rank up from their physical merit.
Angus, to go off that, you want to hear something completely jacked up about the United States Marine Corps and it comes to physical testing? Rookie, you want to hear this?
Sure.
In the United States Marine Corps, we have the PFT, the physical fitness test. I don't know if they're still using it or not, but in my time, they were. For guys to get a perfect score of 300, you had 3 events. You had a 3-mile run, which you had to do in 18 minutes. You had 100 crunches, and you had to do 20 dead hang pull-ups. You couldn't kick, you couldn't buck. You had to go straight from the dead hang, up, down, up, down, up, down.
Yeah, my buddy had to do this in the Marines. I remember, yeah.
Okay, females. Pretty much the same events, but they get 100 points in the run, 21 minutes. That's about the average I ever ran a 3-mile run. I ran it around between 20 and 21 minutes. So I never maxed out my run. Same 100 crunches, which everybody got. Okay, no problem there. They get a flexed arm hang. Basically, they have to start with their chin above the bar, not on the bar, and they have to hold up for 70 seconds. But guess what? The rule is they can't let their arms fully extend. So they can sit there for 45 seconds, have a slight bend in their arm, and get 70 seconds. The core average when I got out had females 50 to 70 points higher on average than male Marines. That's why females always got promoted quicker.
This sounds similar to PE class when on fitness testing, the guys would have to do the regular push-ups and the girls could choose to do regular or the girl push-ups, I suppose. And then the pull-ups was a different thing too, where, you know, you have to actually do a pull-up or they get some type of support thing sometimes. I'm trying to use a parallel in my life that because I haven't been a Marine, but
Rookie,
no, I feel you.
The fun part. The Marine Corps Times, the Marine Corps newspaper, did an article about this and actually put up a proposition to where if a female's chin breaks below the plane of the bar, her time ends on her 70 seconds. Females across the Corps literally lost their minds because they knew they were about to lose 40 to 50 points minimum on their PFT right there. Because they can't, a lot of girls can't sit there for 70 seconds over the bar. And one girl's like, oh, you can't do that. I jumped up on the bar after done 13 pull-ups, sat there for 80 seconds and was like, hey, my kid never broke the plane. I looked down there and said, bitch, please.
Yeah, see, that's the thing is like once like it just takes a little bit of looking into, especially if you look into like Crowder's done some really good research about the first real trans study on a kid who he got circumcised and they accidentally like cut his dick off, and so they pretty much told the parents, we'll just do a reconstructive surgery and you raise him as a girl, and there's like a whole bunch of weird borderline pedo stuff with that study that was not regulated by a board to ensure standards of medical study, but that's like the groundwork is that study, and then all these trans studies that verify good rapport and stuff are really repeating a few select studies, and so it's like it's a very corrupt as opposed to like any other medical profession because it's politicized. But also I just really hate this because I knew a intersex kid in school, and it's kind of along the same lines as trans as far as like the surgeries and stuff to fix that. And yeah, this was never a big thing. Like used to, if you're transitioning, it's because you either feel or you are the wrong sex, and you're turning into the other correct sex, supposedly. Now it's like, oh, this is its own gender and this and that. And it's like, and you're trying to tell kids that there's no gender, and it's confusing just the inherent biological awareness that you have of mommy, daddy, and how you deal with aggression and stuff, or who might hurt you or protect you.
Well, Angus, here's the fun part. A lot of, apolitical professors and, people who actually doing social studies into this, like actual no shit social studies, have concluded that we are basically raising a generation and a half of people who are going to be so mentally fucked up that they're going to need, all sorts of medical treatment pretty much for the rest of their life, and the left has no one but themselves to blame for it.
Yeah, see, that's another reason why I'm like, yeah, I like Trump, because he's, it's just a government act, but he's fixing Title IX to not, incentivize a more made up victim statuses.
So like becoming government dependent.
Yeah, I mean,
kind of what you meant by the medical.
Yeah, well, literally, you guys have read the book 1984 in high school, right?
I read it more recently. I was never.
Is that what the book was called?
Yeah, the book was called 1984. It's by George Orwell.
Doesn't ring a bell.
Jesus Christ, dude! You're in Comicsgate. You need to read 1984.
I have no idea.
Going over here seriously? Well, 1984 is basically a dystopian future book that was written about 40 years ago.
It was written in 48, and so it's kind of like a joke that it's 84.
Yeah, okay, so even longer than that. But basically, it was about Big Brother is always watching, and he literally was. I mean, just so much. Okay, Rookie, have you seen the movie Demolition Man?
It sounds familiar.
Stallone and Snipes.
I've probably seen some of it. That sounds familiar, yeah.
Okay, I'm trying to... Or have you seen V for Vendetta?
I should. I've seen some of it. Again, I haven't seen that all the way through.
Other dystopian movie. Okay, have you seen Equilibrium?
No.
Oh my God, you're killing me, Rookie! I'm trying to figure out all these dystopian movies that I can think of, but you've never seen any of them.
Well, like, I've seen some post-apocalyptic, but I don't know about dystopian.
Post-apocalyptic, that's this. I'm trying to think of any other dystopian movie that I can think of.
Not too many of those in my library.
Have you seen the TV show Revolution?
Revolution.
It's
TV
about
show?
when the power goes out and they fast forward like 10 years.
Again, I've seen some of that. That was a sci-fi one, right?
Yeah, I was on TV for a while. Did we lose Angus? There he is.
I think my mom used to watch some of that, and I would catch a little bit of it. But
all right, Rookie, your mission for this weekend is to go watch Demolition Man, Snipe and Stallone.
I'm making a video soon that I'll release in a week or two, and you'll be able to leave me a list after on that video. You'll see what I mean when I release it. So,
holy shit, you're killing me, Rookie. Anyway,
sorry, this dystopian wasn't in my library of movies. So
okay, let me put it. You remember we were talking about the Patriot Act, right?
Yeah.
1984 is the Patriot Act on steroids times 10. The government controlled literally everything you did.
They have TVs everywhere, and they can pick up on your pulses and stuff, and find out if you're. They have warning signs for like, oh, he's not. Like, think of NPCs as a society, and if you don't fit in, you'll be reconditioned or othered and become an unperson, like Joseph Stalin's reign in Russia.
Yeah. That's 1984 in a nutshell.
Okay.
Kind of like with Chris Hardwick or any of these, whether they're guilty or not, with the Me Too movement. That's an example of the unpersoning of people. Or like Milo and Alex Jones and whatnot. Whether you like them or not, they've become unpersons on social media.
Yeah. But yeah, damn it, I forgot what I was talking about because now I went on
I was like, wait, what was the original point?
1984. We were talking about that.
What?
So we were talking about 1984.
Well, what we were talking about that I was using 1984 as a reference. Now I can't even
There
remember.
was the weakening or making government dependent.
Yes. Well, basically, in a sense, especially with the social globalists, like if you look at Europe right now, that's what a lot of the left and the socialist Democrats of America want to turn America into. They want us completely dependent upon the government. And they want to be in charge of the government so they can control what we do. They don't want free thinkers. They want drones.
Yeah, Wolf, this reminds me of what a critic said the other day about Star Wars that kind of gave me an existential crisis being a Star Wars fan. Is like, what's the goal of being in control and to instill this like order? Like what, like Soros is part of this kind of idea, and he's like 86, so he's going to die any minute. Like, what's his goal? Like, who's he leaving this for? I don't know. I just don't get what the point of having like a drone society is if you're going to die at some point and not be in control.
Soros wants power for the sake of power. And this is also the same George Soros who has been confirmed as he was in the Nazi party. Like, that man is actually a literal Nazi. He's been shown in photos wearing a Nazi uniform. And
he pretended to be Christian to survive at the expense of other Jews. What some of the stuff I've watched about him.
Yeah. But he said it was one of the greatest times of his life to do that. And I was just like, oh God, this is
Jesus Christ.
Well, the thing is, the Democratic Socialists basically want to brainwash us and mind wash us and want us under thumb so they can be in control and tell us what we want, when we want, how we want. They want the dystopian future, but they want to be in control of it. That's all it is. The same thing with Hillary. Obama in his way was trying to shove us towards it. Pelosi, all of them. All of the really rich liberals are trying to push that kind of narrative and push us towards globalization and no borders. But they want to be in control of it.
Well, I was going to say, going on that, because I'd say that the ones that aren't as informed, well, like I'll say like myself, for example, like a lot of stuff that they might say sounds good when they put it in a certain way, but then the meaning of it kind of gets lost with how they shout. And then they say, well, the other side is against it. So therefore we need to focus on being mad about that instead of what they're actually trying to do. And then the whole meaning gets completely lost. Like when the SJW stuff started coming around, I was, like I said, I was more agreeing with them, but that was just because I didn't know what the other side was either. It was like, oh, we want diversity. I was like, yeah, I do too. But that side doesn't. And I'm like, oh, well, that's not good. But then I learned, and it's like, well, yeah, they do too, but it's just not the way that they're doing it.
Well, we want diversity for the sake of diversity, not diversity for the sake of enriching everybody. And a lot of their diversity is literally at odds with other things they believe with. Like, the left. They want to break down the patriarchy. They want to destroy misogyny. But then they want to bring in Arab people who are the most misogynist, patriarchal people on the fucking planet. It's like, that is completely 180 degrees of what you believe, but suddenly they're your friend and you're doing the Islamic call for prayer.
Well, it's all about collectivism. It's the common enemy idea of joining forces. I think intrinsically, because I think feminism is like the hallmark group, since it's women. It's like you can cross all sorts of other minority ideologies or groups. Women is like the unifier part. That'll make them last the longest. And I think they're exploiting Islam as a minority in America, since most Islamic people are Arabic. It's like it's like, oh, we got common ground, and that's what the whole thing of third wave feminism is, intersectionality. And it's like you're at odds with them. Like Sinead O'Connor went from being a non-Roman Catholic priest, because women can't be priests, and then now all of a sudden she's a Muslim and she's singing a song that the women of Islam are not allowed to sing. And it's like, what? Like,
actually, you're actually wrong. And we should do another video about the history of Islam as Arabic culture. Not
I don't want to be in that video, by the way.
not all Islam are Arabs. In fact, a lot of the Arabic people, well, not the Islamic people, not even Arabic. We don't actually have a hell of a lot of Arabic people in this country. So a lot of the Islamic people in this country don't follow Sharia law. They follow Sunni or Shiite law, which they fall in the later half of the Quran, which is a hell of a lot more peaceful than the beginning half where Sharia law tends to find itself.
Okay.
I
think that's your response, Angus, because I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I just know like base level stuff. I respect, like, I like learning about stuff. Like, I just shared something about Shiva because it's related to a common book I reference for a review I'm doing, which is Jewish culture. You know, and I envy certain aspects of like the Islamic political culture of like Afghanistan, the simplicity and stuff and whatnot. But yeah, I don't know. It's just like some of the core values, or at least what, because there's kind of the problem with like judging Islam, especially with Arabic people seeming to be their like the main bulk of them, even if it's not. Because I know like Southeast Asia, like Indonesia and Philippines, have a good amount of.
Actually, the bulk of Muslim people aren't from the Middle East. They're actually a minority. They're just a very loud, vocal, extremist minority. There's over 1 billion Muslim.
Yeah, across the world. Yeah, they're not a minority. They're just a minority in America.
Yeah, well, the thing is, there's over 1 billion people who follow Sunni and Shiite philosophies over Shia law. Shia law is actually a minority. In fact, there's this great story I saw about it. Basically, a bunch of the Islamic extremists under Shia law went to Indonesia and tried to recruit them to the cause. Quite violently, too. You know what happened to them? They got sent back to the Middle East in boxes and told, you try this shit again, we're coming for you. And not the way you want.
Yeah, like and that's the problem with like fighting the Middle East is like what I was gonna say it was like halal and haram, like what's acceptable and what's not, is so intertwined with cultural norms of like especially the Middle East, where it's like, you know, Pashto-Wali and Islam are so intertwined. It's like, well, what's Islamic and what's Pashto-Wali, just ethnically.
Well, thing is, Islam took in a lot of Pashto-Wali beliefs in a lot of Arabic culture, and that's where Sharia law came out of.
Yeah, so like different countries have different standards of Sharia law. I was just watching a thing about that. Like Sharia law is really just law based off the Quran and its interpretation, but each country may have different interpretations when they get into politics.
Yeah, but the thing is, like most of the people who observe Islam don't fall under Sharia law. In fact, a lot of the Muslims you see in America, like if they wear the headdress part, it's not black. They're not wearing the full bodysuit, like the hijab. It'll be white. It'll be floral decorated. You try to pull that stunt in the Middle East, you'll get stoned to death.
Yeah, that's why I don't get like who was that famous Islamic lady who was at like the Pussy Hat March or whatever, and they were doing like the Islamic chants or calls during like a feminist march, and it's like there's some core values that are at least institutionalized in normal Islamic livelihood that do not correspond with feminism at all, or being gay, and it's like, why are you all combining each other? Like, you do not go together.
Yeah, that's like oil and water. I mean, even with Shiite and Sunni law, it's still like oil and freaking water. It's like, it doesn't mix. Why you do this?
Yeah, I don't get it. It's crazy. Like, if you want to be Muslim, fine, but like, you know, you think Christianity is really bad in the West to make, you know, women subservient to men. The Quran, depending on your interpretation, I know that's a caveat, but it allows for, you know, abusing your wife to put her in her place if she's disobedient. It allows rape victims to not be able to testify against their rapists and stuff. Like, it's some crazy shit that does not, just with like not even feminism, just like normal Western thinking of like just being a nice person with people. Some of the values that it can instill in a society is like, wow.
Like that one guy in America who's a Muslim, but he's a believer of Sharia law. He wants Sharia law in the United States. It's like that is fundamentally incompatible with the Constitution of the United States.
Yeah. Oh, dude, did you see? I saw something about Europe. They just passed something. I don't know if it's like the EU or a certain country, but it's like defaming a law is like a considered hate speech. It's not free speech.
You did that.
Who did that?
The EU. European
Okay,
Union.
yeah, it was the EU. And it's like,
Sorry,
wow, you know,
we're talking over you, but I think you're probably learning a lot. Like, wow, this is like really opening.
You
my
cut
eyes.
out if you're still talking.
What?
no, I'm not. But speaking of that, with the EU and stuff, what did you think a couple years ago with the Charlie Hebdo attack in Paris?
Oh God, I have to remember that. Actually, I wanted to talk about the EU in general and the amount of floundering they're doing right now. The EU is practically falling apart. I wouldn't be surprised if, as a democratic body, they literally fall apart and just become an economic thing, because I can tell you right now, a lot of the old East Bloc countries like Austria, Poland, Hungary, Czech Republic, Italy's also following suit. They're basically telling the EU to go fuck themselves. Especially when it comes to the immigration part of, bringing in all the migrants. Italy is actually in the process of starting to turn around and send those people back to Africa. They've had it. Hungary has flatly passed what's called the anti-Soros law, literally called the anti-Soros law, about NGOs and bringing people in. It's like, no, our borders are closed to these people. We're not bringing them in. We're not having our own rape of Cologne. Hungary is for Hungarians.
Yeah, see, that's a problem. People with the Democrats, and it kind of applies with like liberal versus conservative. I'll say, a lot of these arguments for like immigration, where it's like it's so cruel, and they try to use a child on Time Magazine to pluck at your heartstrings, and it's like they never indict the people who put the daughter in danger in the first place at the border, which is the parents, or think about. Who are you letting in? Do they want to be part of Hungary? Or are they trying to, take over through a peaceful jihad?
The funny part. The spearhead for this entire bring all your, African and Islamic migrants in, Angela Merkel, she's in serious shit in her own country of Germany. The right populist wing party is growing in power, and they are now the second largest power block in the country, and they're only getting bigger because they're tired of this. They're tired of watching their country being turned into a big social program for all these people coming in and just completely trashing their country. I mean, have you guys seen pictures of Paris lately?
No.
Oh my God. Rookie, I want you to look up this channel. It's called Black Pigeon Speaks. Look at him about Paris. Have you guys seen the video about what San Francisco looks like with needles and trash all over the place?
And the shit everywhere from the homeless people?
Paris is even worse. In fact, they had to put in a 32 million euro barricade around the Eiffel Tower to protect it from all these people.
Jesus.
I mean, Paris, hey, go see the Paris lights. Now people avoid it like the fucking plague. There's shit literal feces on the ground all over the place. They actually put in public urinals to get, all the migrants stop pissing all over the place. Like out in the middle of freaking daylight, peeing in a urinal. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, that sucks.
I mean, the thing is, it's like England, like Theresa May, who's basically trying to block Brexit or trying to water it down so bad, so they're basically Brexit in name only. Her own party is under major fire, and London, parts of London, you just can't go into anymore because they've been completely Islamicized by all these migrant people.
Yeah, I was actually going to bring that up about not only Tommy Robinson, but I don't know a lot about him, but the guy who made the joke, like the living meme with like putting a bacon sandwich on a mosque, they put him in prison for hate speech, and then they like purposely put him in prison with a bunch of Islamic people, knowing that he would get shanked in prison.
Yeah, well, that's like the what's that Canadian girl, the blonde girl who did that social experiment in England and got literally banned from the country for racism.
You're talking about, I don't know that person. I'm aware I've seen her before on YouTube, but I don't know
a lot
about her.
She went to Australia and New Zealand and basically was like doing the same thing and was like being shot by the police and being told, yeah, you can't go here. You can't say this. You're going to offend people. And she's just going, what the hell is the matter with you people?
Is my typing too loud on the thing? Can you hear that?
I don't.
Okay, cool. Because work's texting me and I'm trying to text too, and I don't know if my keyboard is making noise.
Anyway, I think we're about to wrap this up soon because I'm kind of hungry and I've been going at this for about an hour and a half or so.
No, but it's crazy talking about Paris because, just a couple of years ago, Charlie Hebdo, they essentially had a terrorist attack, and because they drew Muhammad in a political cartoon, and the next day they still published everything and pretty much gave them the finger, like, you're not going to stop free speech. And now this is happening to like West Europe. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah, like Western Europe is in turmoil, and it's going to drag the EU down because a lot of the countries are now starting to pull the stunt. Like Poland, like the EU's like we're gonna threaten sanctions on you, Poland, and Poland's like, so the fuck what? Sanction us, and this is on top of all the shit that Angela Merkel, the prime minister or chancellor of Germany, is pulling. She's about to get into a trade war with the United States and Trump's about to crush her with that thing. Merkel does not understand the 10 kind of fires she's playing with right now, and it's going to drag her down, and it's going to kill the EU on top of it. And she just doesn't understand the amount of socialistic stupidity she has inflicted upon Europe.
I was going to actually segue, sort of, I guess it could be seen as political maybe, but it's entertainment. Have y'all seen 13 Reasons Why?
I've heard that show's horrible, so no.
I've heard of it, never watched it.
Okay, well, I was in essentially an NPC adolescence like psych class with the NPC teacher, who spoke all the proper groupthink about stuff. Stuff where I'm like,
class someday.
like me being half black, I'm like, wait, this doesn't make sense that you're saying that black people can't be racist. And it's like, no, they can.
Yeah, they can.
Like, no, they can't because
everybody's a little bit.
And it's like, whoa, that's crazy, So yeah, real groupthink. Well, the actress, I watched that show because he recommended it at the time. The actress, the main chick who kills herself and is victim blaming everyone in her life for her decision, instead of just trying to overcome the adversity.
She killed herself and is blaming everyone.
She leaves 13 tapes for everyone that she blames. Her 13 reasons why, and you learn to find out in the next season she only had 11 reasons why not to kill herself, and it's like, oh, that's informative. But that actress is supposedly already finished filming an unknown character.
I guess.
And one thing big is the two stuff.
You cut out for a sec.
Y'all on that casting.
Yeah. But no, it's crazy. Like, I've been watching Daredevil, and the SJW, you can see if you know what you're looking for, especially this one speech that Wilson Fisk, aka Kingpin, gives. Oh my God. That was basically them shouting from a fucking rooftop that Trump is basically Wilson Fisk.
What?
I'm just literally watching it going, oh my God. Wilson Fisk may as well just say MAGA and be done with it.
Yeah, I just finished season 3 and I'm like, it started pretty good, and then I started getting these weird undertones of like Me Too stuff with Karen, and then
Orange Man bad.
Yeah, and then the news plot happens, and it's like, oh my God, this is the SJW stuff I've been seeing on Twitter.
Oh, it goes full SJW. And the fact, well, I don't want to go into spoiler territory. Well, I kind of will, if you guys don't mind.
I don't mind, but I don't know about Rookie.
I haven't seen it yet, but I don't think it'll hinder my enjoyment of it. I don't care.
I was just really pissed that Murdoch never put the fucking suit back on. He went with that black stuff that we saw through the entire first season, which is like, oh, fucking kill me already.
Not really.
Why did you not take this? Because the thing is, at the beginning, he gets cut out of his whole suit when the building falls down on him. But,
yeah.
But they get in. But there's this other guy, Poindexter, Dex. He basically pulls on him. They build a suit for him so he can play as a bad Daredevil and get City against Daredevil. And then they try to trap Murdoch with a brand new version of his own suit. But he doesn't take it. He basically leaves it and runs off when the FBI comes up. And it's just like, why would you do this?
I don't know. I thought the point of him having this suit was so he doesn't always get his ass kicked as badly, because he kept on getting his ass kicked.
In the comics, Bullseye is actually one of the worst hand-to-hand combatants. Granted, he's great with, weapons,
projectiles,
but in hand-to-hand combat, he's okay. But in this series, he is going toe-to-toe with Matt Murdock, aka Daredevil, and beating the shit out of him left and right. Fist fight.
See, I kind of passively watched it, so I didn't realize. So Poindexter is actually Bullseye?
Yes, he's Bullseye.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense, because I'm like, so you just got a baseball player who really, honed his skill at hitting things with the baseball to be new counter Daredevil. I'm just like, what the fuck?
He's a ninja now, because
No, that's been confirmed. Dex is Bullseye.
He looked up a lot of YouTube videos and learned how to fight. So,
I mean, I can understand because he's an FBI agent and trained hand to hand, but he was way better at projectile. But not only is he good in hand to hand combat, he's just great at projectile threat. It's just like, oh my god, this is not the way Bullseye is. I mean, granted, he's okay in hand to hand combat, but he's a shooter.
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't read the comics or seen Daredevil season 3 yet, so I don't really have much commentary. It's the nice nugget of info. Cool.
I mean, don't get me wrong. We do get some backstory on Karen and Matt, and
does anything happen with Karen actually? Because it seemed like she was going to go somewhere, and then nothing really progressed with her. Did she do anything significant? I thought she was either going to be a hero, or she was going to, know that he's the Daredevil and then try to help him. I mean,
she knows. She's definitely part of the story. I mean, like major, like, oh my god, earth shattering. Not so much. You get a lot of her backstory and why she is the way she is.
See, for me, they totally botched her because, like, they set it up as like a good interest for a triangle cliche between Foggy and Matt, and then they just like, oh well, we'll take the slutty bitch lawyer that Foggy's been with, and they'll get together, and we'll make that stick. And it's like, what?
But the funny part is that they completely unslutty Foggy's girlfriend.
I don't know. With Karen, though, I thought that they were going to make a huge point, like go back to when she killed that guy, Kingpin's best friend.
Oh, that definitely gets brought up.
Okay, good. If they weren't going to bring that up ever again, I was going to be kind of pissed. I'm like, didn't that eat up at her for like halfway through season 2 of Daredevil, and then she's like getting over it and all that? Like,
that will definitely get brought up, and that's why she gets almost killed half a dozen times.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, I feel like I like how they tied in some of the stuff, but I feel like they just totally botched Karen. They tried to elevate her in too much of a meaningful role as far as like the Daredevil plot, and it's like, oh, come on. And there's a crazy plot twist that I didn't see coming because I don't know all the Daredevil comics, but and then they try to like once you already have one plot reveal, now you start to get like prepared for another one, and they have one like 5 minutes later where it's like, yeah, I saw that one coming.
Yeah, but I mean, one thing I will kind of ruin this for you, Ricky. Just if you don't want to, just plug your ears and mute it. But one thing I did like was Murdoch, like, where you see Murdoch kind of losing his mind for a while, and he starts talking like images of Father, Kingpin, and you get to see what's going on instead of Matt Murdoch's head while he's kind of, drowning in self-doubt. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I liked that, but I thought they used it too much. It kind of became like silly at some point. The way they capture that, instead of it being like a Force ghost, like really distinguishing it as not a person there visually. I think they kind of botched that.
Yep. And they definitely and the church cast, they definitely ham-fisted that.
Yeah, I don't know. The worst thing for me is just the believability of freaking Bullseye, especially like the comics. And I know I kind of tuned out at certain points when it wasn't like action packed, but I never got the idea that he was Bullseye. Like, oh, this is an iconic Daredevil character. Yeah, I thought like, who the fuck is this FBI guy that can throw shit better than Murdoch could?
I knew it was Bullseye. Especially when he threw those knives like that and the way he was shooting, I knew instantly it was Bullseye. You remember when he killed the Albanians while saving things, he was bouncing bullets off shit. That's classic Bullseye.
I just remember in the Daredevil movie when he kills the dude with the little pin and kills the old lady. I don't know. That's all.
See, I've never seen the Ben Affleck Daredevil.
It's a hilarious mess. It's bad, but it's funny.
So the problem with that Daredevil movie was the plot. Everyone playing their characters, even though having Jennifer Garner and Elektra was a bad idea, but it still wasn't a bad character. The characters weren't bad. The plot just sucked.
Yeah.
The plot just destroyed the movie. I mean, Ben Affleck was actually a really good Daredevil and Murdoch. His suit was on point. It looked like he walked straight out of the comic book.
Yeah, but his movement wasn't. His cartoon movement.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of an eyesore.
Well, Ben Affleck was actually a really good Matt Murdock. I believed him as Matt Murdock, but casting Michael Clark Duncan as Kingpin makes it not bad.
I liked Michael Clark Duncan, but
he didn't do it for me as Kingpin because I grew up watching the Spider-Man cartoon.
See, to me, that was actually the first Kingpin I ever saw. So it seemed like he was a pretty big dude, wanted to do it himself.
He was a big dude, but Michael Clark Duncan just did. Vincent D'Onofrio is literally the best Kingpin I've seen.
Yeah, I'd say he's a better one than Duncan was for sure.
Vincent D'Onofrio was perfect casting. They couldn't have nailed it any better.
Yeah, it's crazy to see Gomer Pyle being Kingpin.
But he fits it like a glove. I mean, he's totally believable.
What if they had Chris Farley back in the day? That'd be funny.
Chris Farley would never be able to.
I know, but I'm saying that'd be kind of funny to see him trying to be a Kingpin. All right, guys, let's get that devil.
Well, they could cast his brother. His brother's still alive and looks a lot like him.
That could be for a parody, is what I'm saying.
I could see it as a parody, but not actually realistic.
I'm saying like an SNL skit parody where he's the Kingpin.
But the thing is,
we're going to get the Daredevil by the Hudson River.
Yeah, but the funny part is like out of the 4 shows that they did for the Defenders, Daredevil was the best cast.
True. I don't think anybody would disagree with that.
And it's funny that Luke Cage and Iron Fist both got kinked.
I'm just waiting for Jessica Jones to get canceled. Like, that actress is such an unlikable twat. Like, I watched like 2 episodes. I'm like, I can't. I hate her.
I thought people liked it because the villain in the first season.
She's believable as Jessica Jones because Jessica Jones was a bitch. I mean, I know enough about Jessica Jones. She nailed the essence of Jessica Jones. The problem was the second season. Well, I got halfway through and I couldn't do it.
It would have been fun if they had her interact with Captain America or Spider-Man or something. That would be a funny-ass conversation, or to see them interact with each other. Her attitude mixed with Captain America or Spider-Man.
Yeah.
The banter.
But no, Jessica Jones the first season, even though David Tennant was the bad guy, just Jessica Jones on her own, she was believable, and I enjoyed the first season. The second season, fucking mess. And Iron Fist, the only thing I saw through the first season of Iron Fist is like, did you guys rip off Arrow any harder? I felt like I was rewatching the first season of Arrow without the suit and the bow.
For Iron Fist?
Yeah, almost the same plot points.
Yeah, but at least Arrow was done much better, even in that first episode.
Yeah, the problem.
If I'm comparing the two, because Arrow kind of hooked me, and then Iron Fist, I watched the first episode and I couldn't get past it. I was like, "There's no point. Let's watch Defenders."
Arrow was good up until about the end of season 3, and then it lost its way.
Yeah, they should have stopped it there and just continued other stories and included him in the Flash or something. But
Flash, once you get past season 2, it's just a fucking mess.
Yeah, I think they, instead of having all these universes take place at once in the DC one, they should have ended Arrow after season 3, and then if anything, he can be a guest star on the Flash. As characters from that show be guest stars on that, and then the Flash end at some point, and then go on to the next one and to the next one, so that you don't have to pay attention to 7 shows to figure out what the hell's going on in each show.
Yeah. I mean, Supergirl, the first season was actually pretty good. Then they went SJW.
Yeah.
The second season probably wasn't even all that bad. I can't get through the newest season of Supergirl.
Yeah, I just don't have the time to sit and watch all them. Like there's so many shows. Every show is like an hour long. These are all mini movies, and that's a lot of time to commit to watching all these shows and movies.
Yeah, I mean, I got through the first season of, actually, I think that's the second season. I basically got to pretty much what the newest season is that is on Netflix right now. I got to the season before that on all those shows, and I pretty much just stopped. Even with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they went way off the reservation.
Yeah, sometimes. I think season 4 was a little extended, but season 5 was okay at best. They go more into space, actually. It's more in space than season 5.
Well, the problem is that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they outpace the movies, and then they're like, well, shit, what do we do from here?
Yeah, and I do wish that there was more. I wish that they'd include some characters from the shows in the movies, even if it's small, or in the other shows, because they would have had some good points, like Deathlock or something. I mean, some of these characters could have been anywhere in them.
Yeah, I mean,
Sky, Agent May, any of them, like anybody? No.
All right, guys, but I really need to wrap this up. I've been going for a while, and the wife just started dinner, so it's been fun, but I need to get going.
All right.
Sounds good, guys.
It's been fun. We've covered everything.
Yeah, but you guys finally got the political talk.
Hey,
Yeah.
Hey, guys, what do you think of this before you go? On my channel, we'll dive into politics. We'll dive into the nitty-gritty, disgusting stuff. Rookie, on your channel, maybe we'll do more reviews. Angus, we can figure out something to do on your channel.
That's kind of what I was thinking too, honestly.
Well, for my channel, it's I'm kind of in the middle, I think, between both y'all, because Rookie is a bit he might come across to Comicsgate and Fandom Menace as a bit too optimistic with MCU and Star Wars, and with Iron Wolf, it's like, man, you keep talking politics. I'm trying to get away from that with my fandom, and me, I'm kind of in the middle, and it's like I try to find interesting angles to analyze, like my Overlord video where I'm like, quit pandering to black people with like Nazi movies. Like we know you're trying to send some message that only works if you cast a fake black guy in World War II that wouldn't be there.
I like that kind of conversation.
I'd rather watch Red Tails. I mean, I know people hate that movie. I actually like Red Tails. I know it's active, but it's still good.
I don't like Red Tails just because it's so forgettable and acted pretty bland.
I remember liking it, but I don't remember ever watching it again, and I don't remember what happens.
All right. Well, anyways, guys, I'm gonna shut this down. It's been fun, everybody. I am out.
All right. Peace.